I'm Victor Devon,
I'm Petra Fried
and this is Tonight.
on Murder, She Wrote. We
Yeah.
just need angry townspeople in this council room, which is also the ugliest council room I have ever seen. What is this dump?
It
It,
reads very sort of like Quaker Lodge on the inside,
Quaker Lodge,
but
it's a little
like
back rooms, it's a little uncanny valley in a weird way.
it's very Stephen King councilman
Yeah.
meeting.
I mean,
Yeah.
I fully expect some deadites to break through that glass window at some point. Something's off here.
Blood maroon flooring, but
I
it's
mean, is it
just,
any wonder everybody's so angry with that red carpet?
don't you know color
Bound to
theory,
be,
Cabot Cove?
honestly.
Tonight on Murder, She Wrote.
When I said that it was a pleasure meeting you, it is just possible that I spoke in haste.
Da-da-da-da. Oh, hey, how's it
Hi,
going? I'm Victor Devon,
I'm Petra Fried,
and
and
this
this is
is
Tonight
Tonight
on Murder, She
on
Wrote.
Murder, She Wrote. Ooh.
Yeah.
Now we are deep into, well, now disc three of because I'm using
Mhm.
discs now to watch.
Boy, that seems so
Um
primitive, doesn't it?
it's lovely though. Did I show you? I mean, the audience can't see this, but the heft, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
one half of the
Wow.
show. This is one half. It is substantial.
That's
Seasons
got
one
some
through
weight to
six,
it.
and it's all, yeah. So we're watching Indian Giver today, which is, going to be a lot to parse.
A very beloved
But before,
episode.
well, it's, it
That's
gets
a
some
lie. It's
discussion.
not.
I
Yeah.
know it's not.
It's actually
It's
one of
it's
the
an interesting
more
idea.
poorly
It's
rated of the series, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's interesting idea, and I'm gonna happily talk with you about intention when it
Hmm.
comes to what they were going for here.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, I don't know if you've been watching anything or what have you, but I finished it was a pretty easy watch. It was only about an hour and a half, documentary called The Zodiac Killer Project, and I don't know how familiar you are with the Zodiac
Hmm.
Killer.
Wasn't that a Jake Gyllenhaal movie?
There was, in fact, a Jake Gyllenhaal movie
Yeah, I did not
based
see it.
on one of the sources. It's entertaining. It's quite
Yeah,
good, actually.
yeah.
But Zodiac is one of the more prolific, unsolved serial killing storylines of
Hmm.
North America.
Sure.
And partially because it actually engaged the police directly. It brought the media in, and it was sort of like a mocking kind of Catch Me If You Can
Hmm.
that we hadn't really seen since like Jack the Ripper. So it really like captured like the nation's imagination when it came to the horror of, you know, this guy going after people on like lovers lanes and such.
Oh, is that what it
And
was?
it's a few. There's a
Hmm.
few. And
Yeah.
and the thing is also is since this person has never been, captured and we don't even know if this person is still alive, um, we won't necessarily know if all of the murders that have been associated with him or them
Yeah.
uh are accurate. But Zodiac Killer Project was particularly fascinating because it is actually less about the Zodiac Killer. And I've watched a few different things. I've seen Zodiac the movie. I'm familiar with the at least one other documentary, and it's been
Hmm.
like on Unsolved Mysteries, that kind of thing before.
Yeah.
But there's this it's sort of an attempted documentary, or it's a almost documentary about what they would have done.
Hmm.
Because there was this book that was written by a person who ostensibly feels that he ran into and had a relationship with who he believes to be the Zodiac Killer. And this
Ooh.
documentarian, Charlie Shackleton, tried to get the rights to his book, and his family denied him. After sort of stringing him along for a little bit, he sort of intimates that they were like along in proceedings when suddenly they pulled out. And he doesn't know why. Maybe they got a better offer. Maybe somebody said, you know what, we really don't know this guy. We shouldn't trust it. So instead, he narrates using a lot of just driving around footage of like evocative B-roll. And it's sort of like a
Evocative
deconstruction
B-roll.
of what a true crime documentary is right now.
Hmm.
He shows side by sides of contemporary documentaries doing the exact same thing. And he really shows that there's a formula, that there's the decision making processes that sort of I can't unknow now. So the husband and I have watched a couple of either true crime or related um
Yeah.
uh and because we also watched this YouTube series called Defunct Land, which is actually all about
Oh, I love Defunct Land.
yeah,
Oh,
it's a
it's
lot of fun.
superb. Oh, it's so much fun. Yeah.
And it uses a lot sort of a documentary feel in that too. Obviously a different medium because it's about like amusement parks
Hmm.
and lost media. But it sort of shows you the what would have happened. And it gets into about it at, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes, almost an hour before we even see the documentarian talking. Because he's just sitting in a studio saying over this footage what would have happened if they had actually
Mm,
allowed him to,
sure.
because he wasn't permitted to proceed. So it's interesting to see how he's able to tell the story of the documentary without it being an actual documentary,
Hmm.
and he's able to use passages from the book he couldn't get the rights to, because you can justify that if you say that it's for the purposes of a lot of different things are fair use. As long as it's concise, as long as it's quick, as long as it's the
Mm.
only source. Um,
Got to know
the
your way
reason
around the
he
copyright.
kinda, yeah, yeah. And the reason that he couldn't use longer passages or more in depth talk about some specifics that weren't verified elsewhere is
Hmm.
because if it's the one source, you need to buy the rights of that source in
Well,
this form. In this
sure.
form. If it was a news article, I think he could have just done it because then you're just commenting on a book, which is using a source. But to use somebody's story for a documentary purpose, I believe, I don't know. There's some specifics that I sort of took for granted as to why he wasn't able to be more. But there I mean the book that was written that became the film Zodiac is an entirely different person. It's an entirely different
Uh,
storyline. So they got the rights to that guy. This is the
mhm.
rights to this other guy who actually like met the man he thought was the Zodiac,
Right.
and tried to like trap him. Like it's really fascinating, and it's really a fantastic deconstruction on the current true crime
Hmm.
documentary. Um, I believe I saw it on AMC Plus. I don't recall precisely, but I'm sure it's available in other avenues as well. And I encourage folks to watch it, especially if ones are documentary or true crime interests. It doesn't go into a lot of the specifics of what the Zodiac killer did because that's not the storyline. So if you're squeamish or you don't want to deal with,
Killins?
crime scene stuff, you don't have to
Yeah.
because it's actually not about that. It's
It sounds
all
kind of
after the
meta.
fact. It's super meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really liked it. I really thought it was very, very well done. And I didn't frankly know about 5 minutes in if listening to a guy talking about a documentary that didn't happen over footage of someone driving on public roads was going to be compelling, but
Right.
it absolutely was. It
Okay.
absolutely was.
All right.
Absolutely was. So I encourage. So,
Well, here,
how about
here.
you? Have you seen anything recently that's been appealing?
Oh gosh. I have been watching a lot of Drag Race, as oft I do. Uh,
Okay.
I
Controversial
can't
season.
say a little bit, a little bit. Yeah, are you watching it?
I'm not, but I am gay
Just
on and
following.
online, so I'm
Right.
aware of some stuff.
You
Yeah.
see all the stuff coming through. I mean,
I
I'm
follow Akira and a few of the other folks, so I've seen some
okay.
of the yeah.
I've always been an Akira fan. I am surprisingly, and I think like many others, a newfound Joey J fan who is
Oh,
just
I love Joey J.
delightful,
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I liked him on
delightful.
his original season.
Yeah, I thought
I thought the criticisms were kind of shitty, but
they were dumb. Didn't
yeah.
Joey J have like what was it? Poison Ivy something or other?
Yes. It was just an IV. And the fact that no one knows the difference between ivy and poison ivy is not his fault.
No, I thought it was so dumb. It's like I thought that was actually kind of clever and he got so much slack for it. And then went home to that stupid bag look. I thought it was so
Yeah,
unjust. And I know that's the name of the
yeah.
game, but it's so nice to see
Yeah.
Joey J back on the TV being a fucking
Super
star. So I
cute.
love that. Adorable. And the drag is
Adorable.
right too. It's so beautiful. I can't say I've been watching anything else. You know me, I'm not super good at watching things. Just
You
ironic
are
that we
when you intend.
sit
When
here
you
and watch.
intend.
Yeah, exactly. When I have a deadline, I'm really good at watching
Uh,
things. But if I
yeah.
don't, forget it. But so that's all I'm up to. Yeah, enjoying it as
Yeah.
always.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, let's get into some comfort TV
let's do.
with Murder She Wrote.
This will be a treat.
Yeah. It's all right, so this is Indian Giver. We again are deep into season 4, and we're the Tonight on Murder She Wrote gets right into it. It has a spear being thrown at our mayor, as well as
That's a
Jessica's
bold
also on
move,
like this
right?
pl on this platform. Yeah, and this man in this
Headdress and regalia. Yeah,
it's very village people.
it's
It's all of
very
the
village people.
it's painting for the back row. It's allowing people to see the most recognizable, oh, this is an Indian. Um, and just for the audience at home, I'm going to refer to indigenous people, um, natives, Native Americans, American Indians, and Indians sort of interchangeably for the next hour and a half, probably.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, Mostly because I usually refer to indigenous people as indigenous people. However, I am also aware that that is an incredibly homogenized version of that
sure.
there are so many individual identities within the native communities that deserve to be highlighted the same way that we do with like Norwegian or Polish or
Right.
you know
Well, and
um
and in this case, it sort of is what it is, right? We have to sort of work around what they've told us and what was the 1987 standard for talking about these things, right? And so we have to do a little bit of a workaround, and that's okay. That's okay.
yeah,
I too also
yeah.
usually use the word indigenous, but I understand that that's a pretty big blanket to cast. So,
When we know the specifics, then you use the specifics. If we
yeah,
were talking about Mohegans or Cherokee or any of these things, um, then we would.
it would be a
I don't
different
remember
story.
what are we what are we working with here? This man is meant to be
I think they
something.
may tell us
Um,
too. Algonquin.
Algonquin.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is a
Not
very northeast native population, right?
right.
Yeah.
And one also must consider that just as we have, all different kinds of folks living in harmony together, in a sensible harmony, that oh, I gotta pause this for 1 second because this is a great Seth moment. Um, that if you look up your land, if you look up to see who lived on the land before they were often forced out or reduced in some capacity, there were a lot of them, a lot of folks living at this in the same general areas.
hmm
So it's usually not like one. It's not usually like one central tribe that's there. It's multiple often.
Yeah.
Um, so the idea that this area in Maine was Algonquin land makes sense, sure, but
I buy it.
just a couple of miles away would have been another possible tribe entirely.
Right. Right.
There's this moment, so we're at this. I just want to draw attention to this rally, this sort of patriotic
What is this event
celebration.
outside
It's
that
like a
we're at?
centennial.
Some
It's like a cent,
that's what it's sort of giving vibes for.
and everyone's singing
Like
what?
Cabot Cove is 100 years old or something silly like that, right? Yeah.
Like America, yeah, since settling, because
Hmm.
obviously the land has,
Yeah.
the land, honey, the land. Uh, Founders Day,
Founders Day, Founders.
which we've heard of
It's
before,
always fucking Founders Day, isn't it?
often. Well, every year.
Okay, Joshua
So they're all
Peabody.
singing, and Seth's doing this face. Look at this. What is that? Is that him beatboxing? There's like a blobfish?
He is a blobfish. Are
It's
they all? Oh
fantastic.
God. I also just have to point out an episode that deals with indigenous cultures. Look at all the fucking white faces in this crowd.
I
There is not a
know.
single soul
I
who's not
know.
Caucasian here, which is a little ick, right?
I mean, it does sort of paint the picture pretty nicely. So
Yeah,
when this gentleman does show up, it really does make a
he
thud.
is. Which one of these is not like the other? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Um,
have to ask at this Founders Day celebration, there's all these people up on the stage, including our douchebag mayor, who we do not love.
well,
But
we love
also
to hate. We love to
Jessica's up
hate.
there. Why is Jessica on this stage? Is she a
Because she's the
council
most
person?
recon she's a famous. Well, A,
Because she's
probably.
famous.
And
Because
because
she's
she's
famous.
famous.
I kind of hate that
I
for
mean,
her.
Seth's up there too.
It's
Like,
kind of unearned, but okay, sure. She's not an elected official or figure. She does not need to be up
well,
on the stage,
she
but of
has
course she does for
served.
the sake of the mystery.
She has served on the council before. We hear about in a couple episodes we talk about we never see her doing it, but we have okay, we have this gentleman in the headdress arriving, throwing the spear. What a target. What a
Jeez, yikes. A few inches away, and that mayor would be dead.
I know.
My
And
first
then
note for the episode is this is attempted assault. This is attempted murder here. He's what do you call this big spear thing?
a spear, I
I
would
think they
say that's
they
a
they say later too.
oh
It is a spear, yeah. It's this
yeah,
giant, like 6 foot long awl.
adorned
This guy
with
runs up on his
feathers.
horse in his village people costume, throws it at the mayor's podium. Oh, and
Yeah.
I love this moment where they're all trying to like figure it out and they're all disturbed by it. And he's asking Emily to just sing for the folks. And Emily is just delighted. This extra
Emily.
Emily. Also, look how it's spelled in the closed captioning. It's not Emily,
Is it
Emily.
Amelie?
It's like Emalee or something.
Emilia or
I don't know
something.
what the heck that's about. But anyway,
Yeah.
so the
So
spear
this
had a
is
note attached to it.
yeah. Which notice the note doesn't really have like a Emily. Emily. That's what it is. It's
Emily.
Emily
Yeah, Emily.
to
Very
remind
misleading.
people of
Would have never known if
where
I hadn't seen it written out. Emily and her
um
sweater and brooch. Yes.
Emily vocalizing. I love that it also says
Hmm.
that.
Hmm. You can kind of hear her singing in the background a little bit.
So our gentleman in the headdress has left, but evidently there is a note that indicates that the Cabot Cove residents do not really have legal claim to the land.
Right.
And
Chief
while
Manitoka has apparently left this land to somebody else.
right. And it actually it so it reads as let me see, do they say? Yes, okay, they do actually indicate. So let's give them a little.
Sure.
Granted to Chief Manitoka and his heirs in perpetuity all those lands ending at the water's edge, which can be seen from the hill of the god that creates rain, also known as Algonquin Peak. to the east, to the north, and to the south, as far as the eye can see on a day of bright sunshine.
But that includes all of Cabot Cove.
Yes, 'twould appear so.
Oh, come on now, Doc. It ain't funny.
You don't notice me laughing, do you, Amos?
It's a joke. It's just somebody's idea of a joke, that's all.
Well, that's the thing about colonials is they don't actually have to listen to any existing
Yeah, that's sort of the whole point, right? That's
documentation.
the conceit of it. It's like we don't care about that. Here's our flag.
So,
It's
all
interesting. Well,
right.
and one of the details that they bring up later and that I wanted to ask you about was
Mm,
this was what do you call it when land is passed down? Not an inheritance, but
inherited?
just
Oh,
I'm not sure what it maybe it is. But I believe they said that this was a document written by British forces. And then I
because it was sort
got
of like
myself
giving it back.
wondering,
It was giving it back. It's like it's sort of like when you say give back the land.
uh-huh.
It was that kind of thing.
When the British retreated, they gave back the land to the Algonquin
Right.
population. Is that the idea?
Right.
Okay. I had a feeling
Yes.
it was something like that, but I wasn't sure because what authority do the British have to give out land in a new nation? I don't know.
Conquerors. I mean, this is the thing, is that well, they're
Manifest
agreeing to
destiny.
leave. Yeah, it's they're agreeing to leave them alone and, you know, making
Right.
this agreement. I mean, and this happened before treaties. Like it's this sort of situation
Sure.
too. It's
Yeah.
sort of like, um, and this is really stressful for everybody in Cabot Cove because they are, comfortable in white, and suddenly this person, and they say some awful shit about him too. Like they
Oh, they
refer to
say
him as a
terrible things.
savage. They
Yeah.
they they indicate a lot of racial prejudice against this individual. Um, Now he did announce himself in sort of extravagant
A very dramatic way.
terms.
Yes.
Um, and I feel like that is a white man's construction about how this is the writers. The writers decided to make him theatrical.
Yes.
I don't know if a lot of folks would actually do something like that. And I don't think it does this character any favors that he's written in that way.
No, I don't think so either. I think this character is really tricky
Yeah.
throughout the episode. Also, it's maybe even worth mentioning this character is played by an actor named Bernard White, who we see
Hmm.
later here. Bernard White is actually a Burgher of Burgher descent, so from Sri Lanka, and Burghers are typically of Eurasian descent. So he's not anywhere near indigenous to the United States of America or the Americas.
No.
No,
No.
this
That's
is one
Burger.
of
What's
those
that? BER? GER? What is the
Burgher.
hmm,
Descended from Portuguese, Dutch, British, and other Europeans who settled in Ceylon and
okay.
married Sri Lankan women. So it's kind of a mixed race
Married. We're
population
gonna
of
we're gonna
folks from
indicate we're gonna say married.
married,
Yeah.
quote. Yeah, that's pretty loose there.
Um it's like that fantasy of like this mutiny on the bounty, sort of like, oh, these British men leaving their going to a Polynesian island and marrying the
Yeah.
women there. It's just sort of a little
Yes,
fantasy
a
world.
little South Pacific nonsense here. Well, and we meet
We
now
have
our cast
yeah,
of white guys, basically. Cranky,
cranky white
middle-aged white
guys.
guys. Yeah.
Um that don't have a lot to do with what we're told is the plot.
Not really.
Um,
I actually had trouble sort of picking this up, grasping it at first. I had to really
yeah,
focus on what was important, what was not.
it's powder keggish
A little
in
bit.
that regard. It's a little
Yeah.
civil unrest. I appreciate that this is Cabot Cove, however, because this is sort of meta in terms of recognizing that you don't have to leave home to experience this bullshit. And
Hmm.
previously, Jessica's only ever seen this kind of bullshit outside of
Elsewhere.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Montana, the Deep South.
just
No, in
not
this
her friends
case,
and neighbors.
the
And in
nasty
theory,
people
these
are
are her
right here
friends
in
and
Cabot
neighbors.
Cove. Yeah. And they,
None of
oh,
whom
they
we've seen
are
before, might I add. There's no
vitriolic
Eve
people too.
Simpson. There's no people that we actually are familiar with.
It is kind of it's funny looking at that. Like it's a little bit of a missed opportunity, right? But of course they're not going to put a character in unless that character is critical to the plot, which is
Speaking, yeah.
I think today's filmmaking would be a little different. I think we'd probably consider some of our regular characters and pepper them into the scene, but in this case, no.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just need angry townspeople in this council room, which is also the ugliest council room I have ever seen. What is this dump?
It's the town hall, right?
I guess.
It
It
reads very sort of like Quaker Lodge on the
Quaker
inside,
Lodge.
but
It's a little
like
back rooms in a weird way. It's a little uncanny valley in a weird way. I don't know. There's something.
it's
There's not a
very
thing on the walls in the front.
it's very Stephen King councilman
Yeah.
meeting.
I fully
This is
see
Storm of the
like,
Century. This
uh-huh.
is yeah, this is what is the Christopher Walken Dead, not Dead Again. I can't think of it. It's the one where Christopher Walken is yeah,
Christopher
anyway.
Walken. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I fully expect some Deadites to break through that glass window at some point, right?
It's
It's
very
really
yeah.
off. Something's off here.
And I mean, this is probably yeah, this sort of reached like uh there's like a piano in the back. Dead Zone. That's the movie I'm thinking of.
Dead Zone. Yeah. Good call.
Uh,
Good call. Yes,
and
that's the
this
one.
blood maroon flooring, which I'm assuming is carpet, but
I
it's
mean, is it
just
any wonder everybody's so angry with that red carpet?
don't you know color
Bound to
theory, Cabot
be,
Cove?
honestly. I'd like a nice neutral beige in here, perhaps a creative purple. No, no. Blood red.
Um, and a gentleman of darker skin tone has entered the meeting in this very expensive
The
looking
one
suit.
gentleman of darker skin tone. The one.
Barely, too. Like
Barely, yes.
very
Yeah.
subtly. But because everyone here is as white as these walls, he stands out. But not enough to anybody else in the crowd because nobody really acknowledges him.
Right, right,
We happen to know that this is also our gentleman on horseback.
right.
He has
We saw the
removed some of
close-up earlier.
the war paint.
By the way, I think
Uh,
Bernard White in this, I think he's so hot.
oh, he's
He's
gorgeous.
so hot.
Yeah, yeah,
His
yeah.
skin is
He's very
perfect.
handsome. Very
Olive
handsome. And
complexion.
he's a an established actor too.
Yeah.
He was in the Matrix universe. Um he is also I recently saw him in one of the shows that I really love, Ghosts. He is in that as well.
Ghost, of course. He's in Captain
He
America.
he plays the father of one of the leads in Ghosts, which also
Hmm.
features Indian and Southeast Asian
Is that the
characters.
American version of Ghosts or the British version of Ghosts?
That was the American
Ah,
version.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. There are in the British one, the husband is black. In the American one, he is Southeast Asian.
That's
So
right.
it's still a
That's
white
right.
lead, still a white female lead, but that
Right.
partially I think because then they could work with like um ghosts and figures that would interact
Hmm.
correspondingly. The potential black trauma of black ghosts and American ghosts could actually be really unsettling if we really break it
Oh
down.
gosh, that's a can of worms. That is a can of
Oh,
worms.
he's so they're all talking about the veracity of this deal.
This claim.
Oh God.
Oh
He
God.
refers to him
I know.
one of them referred to him as a half-naked savage. Um, I'll say this. When you're writing racist people, it really does help to know that those people are not meant to be protagonists.
Yeah, yeah,
Whether
that's
it's like
true.
Ghosts of Mississippi or um oh, I'm trying to think of one where they you know, I was trying to think of another like where we are particularly racist towards Asians. Um but it's uncomfortable all the same, but I
Yeah.
think it's meant to be like, oh, whether or not we need to do that, that's what we're doing. That's
Right.
what we're
Well,
doing.
we're not supposed to like these extras with these racist
We're
perspectives, right?
not. We're
We're
not. And we're
supposed to.
acknowledging that those prejudices exist.
Mhm. And there's a. Okay. Here's the can of worms I'm going to open up. So
Sure.
this guy, this Bernard White playing
George
George
Longbow.
Longbow,
We're gonna
very
leave
much
that
like
name.
Raymond Two Crows, right?
We're gonna leave that name for that being that name. So
Yep. It is what it is. But he comes into this room,
the
everyone's
11th
like
descendant. Yes.
the 11th descendant. He comes into this room and everybody's sort of, you know, on edge already because they have property. They don't want their property to be null and void. They don't want to owe anybody else money. They don't know what the implications of this claim are. But then George shows up here, and not only does he get up and speak to the crowd, but he's quite nasty about it. He's very
Yeah.
sort of insistent. This is mine. Your land
Confrontational.
is mine.
Yeah.
Deal with it, sons of bitches, right? It's very
Yeah.
aggressive. And right off the bat, a terrible strategy for this environment, right? Like, what on earth is he thinking? And he says later, like, it's the only way that he'll be heard. And I'm like, how is that? How is this the move?
It
Because he's
is.
already instantly in a fight with somebody, right? Like a physical fight with this guy named Addison Langley.
Who did call him a thieving redskin?
He sure did.
Let's be
He
clear.
sure did.
He is meeting them with as much aggression as they would meet him,
Right.
but he is coming in at 11. Like he is coming in
At
hot.
11, yeah. This doesn't feel like entering this
And I don't
environment
want
and
to
saying
tone
like,
police
listen,
a
I have this claim
fictional
to this.
I
Right.
don't want to tone police a
Right.
fictional indigenous man. But the choices that the writers are making, and I want to specify that again, this isn't documentary. This is how people are deciding to write these characters.
Hmm.
And a lot of times in shows, I say, well, that's just real life. I've seen many episodes of, say, I remember back in the day when I would watch something like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I would be on like forums or people saying, "Oh, that's out of character." Well, no, it's not because that's how they're written, and that means
Right.
that we're meant to be given all of the information. We don't have to like it, but
Yeah.
that's the way they're written, so they're behaving that way. When you're white people writing about non-white people, or straight people writing about non-straight people, or however, you know, not to immediately equate, you know, sexuality and race, but that's what white gay guys do.
That's what
Uh,
happens. Yeah. There you go.
we have to look at where they're coming from, right? We have to look at the intention, we have to
Hmm.
look at the point of it and what they're doing. So this is one of those episodes that is super hard to look at without considering the intention of the writers. It's very hard to lose yourself in the
Yeah.
storyline.
Yeah. I I think
Like,
that's
what are you
really
trying to accomplish here? Because it reads very, and now a very special of Murder She Wrote.
a little
Like
bit.
it might as well be one of the drug episodes or one of the, sexual abuse episodes that you would see in sitcoms. Like it
Mm.
feels like a message
It's like now
episode.
we have something to say. Well, and I think that that's really where, for me, the writing fails, kind of right off the bat, is that they've created a character with a very specific point of view, but there's not a lot of logic around this character. He comes into this town and he comes barking into this room, telling all these people that he owns them, basically. He has no allies there, truly. He has this girl named, what is her name? Helen? No.
Oh, the
Donna?
woman on the
Yeah, because there's this expert who's like some professor who can legitimize this claim or not, who happens to be there. I don't know. He's some sort of historical expert. But this
Oh,
girl who
Theodore
happens to
Bikel, yeah.
yeah, who
Yeah.
happens to be working with the professor is sort of his only friend, and she can't protect him or help him in any way. He's hiding at a hotel that
Crenshaw?
nobody knows about. He's
Donna.
driving in from Donna Crenshaw, yep. So he's coming into this environment poking bears, and he has no protection.
No.
It's so incongruous. It's hard to
Bold.
really appreciate or feel like this is a legitimate premise because there's so much out of line. I don't really get the choice.
It's again, it I think it's just meant to make him a target,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
And there's something to be said again, not to excuse it, but not making him meek, not making him submissive. He's coming in hot, but he's also coming in right. And he's just not doing it very judiciously. He's not doing it very um
no,
and he doesn't have to because the
he's
British
not.
didn't do that either. Americans don't typically do that either. So the fact that he's coming in just at as hot as the others, there's something to deconstruct there too.
I
Because
suppose.
we are expecting some diplomacy. Doesn't owe them diplomacy. Why do it would be nice, but why would it be nice?
Right. I suppose it's like fight fire with fire, right? When he shows up at that Founders Day and throws a spear at the podium.
That's a bridge too far.
That's
Yes.
too much. It's too much. Like to show up in the regalia is one thing and make a statement or say something, but to take a violent weapon and throw it at the leaders of the township
Yeah.
and then disappear, literally just gallop off until he shows up at this meeting telling this town that he owes them. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a stretch. It is a stretch. And I want to like him as a character because he's so yummy to look at. But he's not the most, it's hard to root for him. And I feel like I should be rooting for him if he has this sort of indigenous claim to land ownership. And I just don't. I don't root for him. I think he's absolutely taking 100% the wrong tactic here.
Yeah. And I feel like we would feel that way if he was somebody else too. You
Yeah,
know? Like
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
not just that he's
Regardless of what race he
automatically,
would be, what, yeah,
yeah.
it's just the way he's written is so hard to root for him. And it's interesting because Jessica, right, she's the one who sees reason in this, and throughout the episode, she's the one that says, I think you're an innocent person. We need to see whether what you brought to the table is real and whether you have any claim to this. Of course, she's always the voice of reason. But it's even hard for me to like get on board with her.
But she seems a little out of sorts as well. Like she's
Sure.
like there's this is a lot to
This is
contend with.
concerning for her too, yeah.
Yeah.
But she's not jumping to conclusions like everyone else, right? Because
And she
she's
wants to
measured, careful
right.
Jessica.
Well, she also wants to talk about it in okay, so if this is the way it is, then let's actually figure out what we would have
Mhm.
to do. And everyone's like, "No, don't entertain this. Don't
Right.
even like suggest." And what it really boils down to is he wants reparations in the form of a $200 rental agreement, essentially, to use the land.
Yeah.
Um, which would frankly have to probably go through some courts, even though he's saying that
Oh,
it is his. Um,
absolutely. Would need to go through many channels for this to be.
partially, yeah. Well, partially because not that it would be like squatters' rights, but there are people that are there. So whether or not they should be there or whether or not they're there um, because people made bad decisions centuries ago or a
Right.
century, not even generations ago, um, they're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Well, and
have to
that's
figure
another
that
thing
out.
that kept crossing my mind is what are the legalities of something like this? This would not be
I
an
don't know.
immediate fix. You don't show up with a deed and say, you all owe me money. So his plan is to assess a, essentially a tax on all of the landowners,
Right.
homeowners, etc., residents of Cabot Cove, $200 a year or something, and he's going to collect that money as I suppose, as a type of reparations or a type of,
Mhm.
yeah.
Compensation, compensation.
And so it's
Yeah.
not the most money a year, but it is like we've been doing this our whole lives here, and you're just going to show up and say you owe me money. So I understand why people are
Which,
upset, right?
which, if you're going to come from a tribal community and do that, you don't go as a person. You don't go as a single human being. You go with a group of
Right.
individuals in mind too. Him coming in is not believable in that regard.
No,
You just don't. One guy doesn't do that. You have to have folks alongside you.
that's what
And
I
I think,
mean.
yeah, I think what's really interesting, and I don't know if the writers intended this or what have you, but he's playing by colonist or sort of colonial rules. He's meeting them
Yeah,
with their white man mumbo jumbo because that's how he has to navigate. And they're uncomfortable with that. They're uncomfortable with
right.
that. So I think George Longbow is meant to be a flawed character,
Yeah,
someone with hubris, someone who is a little overly and self-assured and is making a lot of bad decisions.
yeah.
He's not a bad person, but
He has
he
noble
is
cause, we find out later, which we can get behind that, but
he's playing a white man's game though. And he's playing a white man's game with white people and they don't like it. I
yeah,
I I see nuance in there. I see
sure.
an interesting like, oh, okay. You're I mean, I don't know again, and maybe I'm giving the writers too much credit for a 1987 murder she wrote,
Mhm.
but then what was the point? Like if I say that they didn't intend this, then they wouldn't have made the decisions here. They would have made him a stereotype. Because this is not stereotypical
No, he's a very
behavior.
aggressive,
He's a
hot-headed
lawyer.
guy, right? He's a lawyer.
He's
Didn't he say he went to Stanford or Harvard or
he went to
something like
Harvard.
that?
He went to
Harvard, yeah.
Harvard. And
So,
he's coming in like a lawyer. Like he's coming in meeting
yeah.
them at this level.
It's a complex character, someone with that sort of legal expertise and brains and self-assuredness to come in with such a dramatic, I don't know. I'm trying to give it credit for being a complex character when in fact it just doesn't make sense to me on so many levels. But that's okay. We digress. He's This is wild. He's leaving this meeting and there are like hordes of white people essentially threatening him, calling him Redskin. It's terrible. But then he
Mhm.
beats them with his suitcase. He literally hits people with his suitcase. This is not a way to make
Yeah.
friends, folks. This is not a
And
way to
he
make
guy
friends.
that guy stays on the ground.
I
Did he
know.
really did he really knock that guy unconscious?
Like,
Really?
did he bust a tooth? And in this case, he just assaulted people.
Yes.
I mean, they may have lunged for him, but he took a weapon, his suitcase, and smacked two guys across the face, and then just strolls out to Donna's car, and they zip away. He would be
Well,
arrested. He would be arrested if he
he
assaulted
would,
somebody
yes.
with.
He
It's
would.
like, what is
He would.
happening here? What is
One
this
could
lawless
argue fight in
place?
words. One could argue fight in words, but
Yeah,
I mean that guy does lunge at him.
he does lunge at him. He
It
he
is
takes the
defensive.
suitcase, he pushes it into his groin, and then swings it back on the side of this guy's face. That would hurt.
Oh God, yeah.
He would
Yeah.
be.
So this
He
guy
may
in the
have a
beanie,
concussion.
he comes at him. Ooh, right there, and hit him again. And he
Oh,
just stays down. He just stays down. But he did lunge.
he
He
did
came into his
lunge.
dance space.
He did
Came in,
lunge.
yeah.
Of course, Jessica's like, Tom, Randy, stop that. They're not gonna stop. They're not gonna
And
stop.
who on her in her mighty steed. But this
Her
woman, Donna
mighty
Crenshaw,
steed. Donna Crenshaw with the poodle hair of all poodle hairdos.
it's just not attractive.
It's not attractive.
It's just not attractive.
No.
But we learned that not only do they know each other, but they went to school together.
Yeah. I have a fondness for each other.
She even says you used me all those days and nights at the university. You said you were researching your heritage. This is what you were after. Land grants.
Poor
That's what
Donna.
he's referring
Poor
to.
Women always getting the short end of the stick here.
And she calls him out. She says, walking
Yeah.
into the town meeting threatening after throwing a spear, like it's
She's
just
right. She's right.
she
And she clearly has his back in certain ways, right? She just rescued him from a mob beating. So,
he was doing pretty well on his own.
with that suitcase,
Yeah.
that's a
But
perilous
get enough
weapon.
people surrounding him, he could have, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, he's pretty. Boy, he's pretty.
And he says it is time for one of us stood up. And she's like, "Oh, you're a champion of you're the one." I'm like, you need a tribe. This sort of one man mentality sort of
It doesn't
behavior.
work. Yeah. It is bizarre that there's no one behind him here. He's just shows up a lone stranger.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Well,
you know,
so
and
he's
she's giving him warnings that, these
yeah,
people are dangerous. You're
right.
coming in hot and you're gonna make a mob. And he's an easy
He's
target.
he's sort of trying to take care of himself. He's staying at a room outside of town. Nobody knows where. He's parking his truck in secluded places so he can't be followed. So he
That
knows
might
that
be
he's
important.
coming in with some energy. It's going to be met with
Oh,
disdain.
and we learn that this doctor is her father,
Yeah, this historical.
Professor Theodore Bikel, who is theatrical legend. He's sort of our old Hollywood stand-in.
What has he done?
Um, oh, he was in the My Fair Lady. He was in The
Oh,
African
of
Queen.
course.
I feel like he may have been
Bit parts,
in
but yeah.
Fiddler at one point. Maybe I'm mistaken.
He's in four murder shows. This is his first appearance.
He was in Sound of Music.
Do
Yeah,
a
yeah.
deer. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Three Penny Opera.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
yeah, musical theater.
I used to
Um,
believe in the days I was pure. Meanwhile, our
uh,
Donna, she hasn't done too much that I'm familiar with. Looks like Hotel. She was on Hotel.
Hotel still on? Yeah, she
Heart to
was.
Heart. Oh, she's mostly
She's sort of
done
like
guest star
our
roles.
ingenue in this.
She is our proxy for an ingenue, though. She doesn't get the most to do here. Most of what she does has been done already, and that's saving George and being his
Yeah,
bud.
once again, we need a love interest sort of
Yeah.
type, and it's just sort of like because
Yeah.
again, when he inevitably gets railroaded, um, for the murder of somebody, because that's where we're going with this,
Hmm.
um, he needs someone who has a romantic interest in him to fight
Right.
for him because we can't
Right.
just be justice. Self-righteous justice is Jessica's department.
That's right.
Uh,
Oh, we're meeting a new character here. Well, we saw her earlier, but we're getting more of her now.
for
This is Helen.
Helen,
This is Helen Langley. This is the
long-suffering wife.
wife, long-suffering wife of the guy who got into a fight with George at the council meeting. In
Yes, we
actually
referred to him
in the chambers. Yeah.
as our thieving redskin. He is familiar to us as the douchebag in Dead Heat
That's right.
who gets killed. So
Right, right. And
Lonnie
they paint him
Shackman.
as he's a community person, but he's also a drunk. He was
And
most
is
certainly
abusive to
drunk,
her.
and he's abusive to his wife because she has bruises all over her. Oh, it's so sad. This is
It is.
really, really unsettling. Well, she sends him off and she walks back toward her front door and she trips.
What did she trip on?
I don't
Oh,
even know.
there's a little gap in the
Yeah. And
it's
of course,
very
Jessica
well
comes running. Oh,
choreographed.
Helen. Oh, Helen. Can I help you? It's
Do you
not that
see
big a
that? That
trip.
you don't really see it till she falls, but there is a little
Yeah.
gash there. She
Yeah.
really did mark that very well.
Uh-huh. And she even
Yeah, but
reacts with that sort of like, oh, that sort of pulse
ugh,
of energy, when you fall.
but Jessica's there to pick her up.
Oh, and she has a fucking black eye. I hate this so much.
Yeah. They got to swing big. We haven't seen quite this kind of abuse since, oh God, maybe Electric
No,
Cathedral,
it's been a
the wife
minute.
in that. Yeah.
And she's just a slender slip of a thing too.
Yeah. Smiley and friendly.
Lovely, sweet.
Um,
And Jessica is so good to her. Jessica knows immediately what's going on, right? She doesn't need
oh yeah.
to investigate. She knows what's happening. She's in her house. She's getting her something to drink. There happens to be a table and chairs that have just been painted and varnished with a sign that says wet in her own living room. I don't know that this is a thing people do, but sure.
It's a little mental note not to sit down in the same
Yeah.
chair, you know.
We need a signal to the audience that this is a
Wet
wet
paint is
chair.
important.
Right, right. It's a little heavy-handed, but it's okay. By the way, we're like almost halfway through the episode. No murder yet. This one takes a minute.
Yeah, this one really does. This is I mean this episode was really more about town dynamics than it is about this guy coming in because
Yeah,
this guy coming in shows the seedy underbelly essentially of this idyllic
yeah.
northeast town, which cool, but it doesn't focus fully on our guest protagonist, frankly.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because it sort of simplifies him. We don't need to keep spending time with him because he's, Harvard educated, um,
We've gotten quite a laundry list of who
landlord,
he is
attempted
already, right?
landlord.
Yeah, yeah,
And I will say there's some things that are really interesting about like this whole concept of like coming in a three-piece suit, meeting them head on. He's sort of like respectable in
There's
like,
something ballsy and like, okay, you took a
but there's
swing.
something also again sort of like, but he is he's indigenous, but he's code switching to meet them
Yeah,
in this direction here after
yeah.
showing up, in war paint regalia. Um, and yet he's still like I mean, a lot of times people are like, oh, when it comes to particularly racism for Black people is cultural and clothing based and a lot of stuff like that. And then you're like, yeah, but like Martin Luther King was shot while wearing a suit. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
actually it's not just about presentation.
no.
But the
That's
fact
a
that he's showing
fallacy
up
that people say, right? Like, well, if you'd come in more polite, then no, no, no.
more civilized,
More
frankly, is really
civilized, yeah.
what, yeah. And that's such a red flag of a concept to suggest that
Yeah.
you need to be respectable or you need to be
Fuck
white,
respectability,
basically.
basically. Give us your white manners and we'll
And
respect you
wealthy
more.
white.
I don't think so.
Because you notice he came in a suit
Yeah.
and all these guys are wearing like flannel and blue jeans. They're
Oh,
not.
yeah. He is a
He
class up, right? Like he is of a higher class than most of the people who he's confronting here, right? Which also creates a really dangerous dynamic in a lot of ways for him.
it's not very polite on uh lower class, even Northeast, but usually seen it with Southern bumpkins
Yeah.
types. It's interesting to bumpkinize the relatively privileged Northeasterners.
Yeah.
We've seen like in the painter episode, we've seen that there are people of limited means in this town. We don't spend a whole lot of time with them,
Right.
but there are poor people in this town.
Oh, yeah.
No
In
one's on the
fairness,
street, but
most of the people we see in this episode are landowners or homeowners, so maybe we don't see sort of the bottom of the Cabot Cove caste system, if you will, but oh dear, okay.
we have a dead body.
Addison is dead. Addison Ad Langley,
So
the
terrible human
abusive,
being.
drunk husband of our dear Helen, who also got in a fight with George, is dead in the council room with that spear plunged in his chest.
24 minutes in,
Drama. This is a
because
show.
this is escalating. This is not the point of the murder. The murder is not the point of the episode. It is what happens kind of indirectly.
Simultaneously
Yeah.
with the plot points with George.
And
Yeah.
uses George's presence there kind of as a distraction. Because
Hmm.
of course we're meant to believe that George did it. Because why wouldn't he use his own spear to stab someone and leave
Right.
it in him? It's so
And
you just
stage
don't.
it in the town hall.
Yeah. It's just
Come
let's
on.
give some
Come
people some
on.
credit here.
Yeah.
You would never pick a Mayan sacrificial dagger. Too obvious. Yeah, use absolutely.
Basically. Yeah. And Jessica calls us out immediately. She's like, he didn't do it. He's too smart.
No.
He wouldn't do something like this. This is clearly
If
an
it doesn't
attempt
make
to
sense,
frame
it didn't
him.
happen. If it doesn't
Right.
make sense, it didn't happen, and this doesn't make sense.
But of course, these stupid motherfuckers in Cabot Cove, they don't have that logic. They all assume and think for sure he must have killed Ad Langley.
Oh,
I
and
mean, in
there's
some ways, I
traces,
suppose.
mhm,
What are the traces of?
traces of sand, which
Oh,
indicate
sand.
that
Yes.
the body was moved, perhaps.
Yes.
And usually there's very little blood, which usually also means moved.
That body was moved. It was
Yeah.
put here.
Symbolically. Very Joshua Peabody
Kind
underneath the
of.
tarp, which
Yeah.
also happens sort of indirectly of the occasion.
Hmm.
The Joshua Peabody thing. It's somebody else's grudge that occurs during the happenstance to
True.
sort of take advantage of the chaos. This is
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
taking advantage of the chaos.
Yeah. You know what? That makes me think that this episode would be even better with little Del Scott in it. I'm not
Yes, bring
wrong. I'm
back.
not wrong.
No, I mean any opportunity
Give her an encore.
for those violet eyes.
I wanted to also point out there was a moment when Jessica was talking to Helen before this body was found, Helen's husband, uh,
Hmm.
where Helen is talking about how, oh yeah, I'm finishing the kitchen. I'm the doer, adds the dreamer, and then her face sort of turns cold and distressed, and we get a long shot of Jessica just staring at her compassionately. And I really like that moment. I think they could have brushed past it, but it is a moment where we see that Jessica is taking in everything that's happened to Helen
Yeah.
and is really being a good Judy for her.
Well, and in any other circumstance, she would be the first suspect
Yeah,
because it's often the spouse.
yeah. The
Just as we
abused
assumed it
spouse.
had to
Yeah,
be Jonathan Martin because he was the long-suffering husband and his wife was killed.
yeah,
Why wouldn't it have been him?
of course.
Here. Now, would would we imagine that Helen would take a spear and stab her husband in the middle of town hall?
Little
No,
Helen? I don't
maybe,
think so.
maybe not, maybe not. But conversely, some men need to be slapped back.
Some men need to
So
be
we're not meant
slapped.
to. We're not mad that Addison is dead. We're
No.
actually he's another one of those despicable deaths that are despicable murder victims. It's like, okay.
Yeah, he's barely in the episode, right? And all he does is behave drunkly and belligerently. That's it. That's all he does.
Drunkly.
Drunk. Is that a word? It is
So
today.
who's this gentleman here that Jessica's talking to?
This is Harris Atwater. So this is in a sort of a B plot where Harris is a developer who wants to put a hotel up on the outside of Cabot Cove. This happens all the time. Everybody
All the
wants
time.
to put a hotel in
He's
Cabot
our
Cove.
John Aston type
Exactly.
figure
He's our
here. Yeah.
developer. But if the land does not belong to the people he would be buying it from, this creates
Hmm.
a business problem for him. And so he has a vested interest in either moving on or getting George Longbow out of the way if he wants his development project to get off the ground.
Meanwhile, this area has like 7 abandoned canneries, as
Honestly,
we've learned.
these people are out of
There,
work. Put them in the
what is
factories.
what is um
They do have a great interaction, Jessica and this guy, because he's like, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you," and then she starts digging in. He's like, "I think I spoke too soon. It was not very nice to meet you."
Are we meant to think that the townspeople are okay with the hotel going or with his property going up?
Baby, I don't know. It seems like half the time they hate this, and half the time they're like,
Yeah.
"Great, cool hotel, bring in some
Well, we're
tourist
not
dollars."
meeting, we're not talking to like the salt of the earth, like
No,
folks that raged against the Joshua Peabody episode. We're
right?
mostly talking about like roughnecks essentially, and suit and tie landowners.
Yeah,
Um, and the only reason that the roughnecks are getting involved is because there's a racial component. They don't
right.
necessarily know that they're just as much being taken advantage of by the white landowners as they would by
Uh-huh.
an indigenous landowner.
But they're the same
They're just in it.
color.
They're just in it for the racism
Yeah,
because
they're
they're
just in it
chasing.
for the racism. This is a deeply uncomfortable sequence of events here. So this
Uh,
selection of four white mobsters, basically mob mentality, they find George in his truck, run him off the road, find him in the woods,
Not just
and
sort of.
then
They hit his car. They hit his
they hit
truck.
his car, yeah. And then they
Yeah,
beat him up and they put him in the back of the pickup truck to sort of parade around. It's so disgusting. This is
it
some
is. It's
Confederate
very
bullshit.
yes. It's almost like Quasimodo in Hunchback. Like
Oh yeah.
paraded around to look and see what
A
this like
festival
it's
of fools. Look
so
at this face.
so
Yeah.
dramatic and
Uh-huh.
it's yeah it's deeply yeah it's practically a lynch parade
Yeah.
basically.
We just don't
Yeah,
see the death, right? Like, thank God.
right, it's
But
interrupted. It's
it's
interrupted.
everything up until the hanging point. It's really disturbing. And these are Cabot Cove folks. This is not a powder keg lynch mob.
All right,
Oh,
where are we?
this guy here, we have Charles Siebert as Norman Edmonds. I'm not really sure what his role is here, but he was our killer in Headless Horseman.
Yes, he was. He
He
was
was
our
our
dentist.
dentist, and he's good in this too.
He is Siebert. uh so he's playing Norman Edmonds, and I think he's a lawyer.
He has access to money because he tried to get the professor, he tried to buy off the professor and say so that the professor says, "No, this isn't legit. George Longbow is a fraud." Because
Mhm.
he has some sort of vested interest in this. Oh, here comes the truck with Norman on display or Gordon. No, George.
Longbow.
George. Raymond Two Crows. Uh,
Uh, one of those Indians from Napoli.
uh-huh.
Uh, um, yeah.
I mean, I guess
So they
we
bring him
can
to the
take
sheriff. They bring
that's
him to the
better
sheriff. So it
than
wasn't.
it could have
Yeah, I
been.
know. Yeah,
But
I
they
know.
did bring him
It's.
bloodied and beaten up.
Oh yeah, no. This is like. It's like that scene in Jaws when they're like, "Look, we got the tiger shark that did it."
Yeah.
Like it's one
Yeah.
of those like
Very that.
trophy. It's a trophy. They're treating him like a buck that they've brought in.
Well, and Amos
Knowing that
even
they're
says like to these guys, like, I'm glad you brought him, but I don't appreciate the condition you brought him to me in. So,
well, even they were like, "Oh, he fell." Like it's
hmm.
so high school. It's
Oh, it's
so
so gross.
uncomfortable.
And this isn't like a bunch of young guys. One of these guys looks like he's properly a senior citizen and middle age. You know what I mean? Like this isn't just a bunch of like young ragamuffins who are getting into
Like
trouble. These are
toughs,
like
young toughs. Yeah.
grown-ass men who are essentially beating a
Oh
man
yeah,
of a
the
different
man in
race.
this life vest situation,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
50.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he minimum
This is
probably
Tom. This
55.
is Gary Lockhart playing Tom Carpenter, who I believe is
We've seen
Donna
before.
Crenshaw's brother. Is that right? I think we see that later. He has some sort of relationship to
So he's the
Donna.
professor's son.
No.
He would have to be, then he
Oh,
can't
I'm
be
sorry,
because
not
Donna
Donna. Helen. Helen.
Helen,
He's I think he's Helen's brother. Helen, who is the now widow
the
to Ad
Langling. Yeah.
Langley. Yeah.
So he's related to our victim
Yeah.
in some
He came
capacity.
in, he drove George's truck and dropped off George's effects, so his keys, his wallet, etc. So he came behind the other parading group.
Hmm. Yeah, he was previously seen in our sudden death episode, our football episode with Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah. He's got good energy. He's good on screen. I'm wondering now Jessica's in the cell with George. I wonder if we can actually hear this scene. I think it's a good sort of moment,
We learn a little bit more about
level
his
the fields.
motivations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come on, boys. Let's go out and get our pictures took. I mean, after all, we are real live heroes.
So gross.
Abusers. Gross.
Now listen to me, young man. At the moment, you and I may be the only two people in Cabot Cove who think that you are innocent of this murder. But retreating into stony, self-righteous silence isn't going to help the situation one bit. Now, you're much too intelligent to commit such a stupid murder. Now, suppose you tell me the truth, starting with why you really came to Cabot Cove.
All right, I will.
All right, I will. Okay.
First
That's
off, it was
simple.
never my intention to bilk the people of this town, especially not for my own personal gain. The money's to be used to fund a scholarship program for Indian youngsters who otherwise wouldn't get a chance to go to college.
Admirable. But why did you choose such a confrontational way to open up the negotiations?
Mrs. Fletcher, you know as well as I do, if I would have used a conventional way to approach your town fathers, I would have been completely ignored.
Possibly. But what about last night? Where were you? And can you prove it?
I was staying outside of town at a motel known only to me. And since I arrived back there at around 11:30 after the office had closed, no, I can't prove it.
Excuse me, Miss Fletcher. That was the mayor on the phone. He'd like us to come over to his office right away. He's got the professor with him.
He's got such resignation in his voice. It is a
Yeah.
good performance.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's really invested in his objective here, even if it gets out of hand, right?
Right. And things are spiraling. And I don't
Hmm.
necessarily know what he thought would happen,
Well, I don't think
but
he thought someone would die, right? I don't think I don't think a body was in the plans, right? And so that's something he couldn't
well,
have
because again,
accounted
that
for.
it almost has nothing to do with this too, is because
Exactly.
that body is
Exactly.
not because of his arrival.
Hmm.
That body was a long time coming.
Yeah.
Um, oh, we get a little interesting element here from our professor.
Hmm.
Let's get some of this.
To put it as bluntly as possible, George Longbow is a fraud.
He's Sri
A
Lankan.
phony, huh? Sort of figured that myself.
It's amazing how quickly you came up with that verdict, Professor, considering the opinion of those other learned scholars.
Oh, the land grant is genuine enough. No, I'm talking about Longbow himself. Dr. Hazlitt, do you remember the flu epidemic that hit this country in 1918, especially in the Northeast? Don't recall it personally, thanks. Read about it. Thousands died in this area, and particularly hard hit was the Indian population. The survivors were adopted by the few families that remained intact. Well, under the circumstances, Longbow cannot possibly claim direct and provable lineage to Chief Manitoka.
Well, Mr. Edmonds will be pleased to hear that. Is there a possibility that in your haste, you may be mistaken, Professor? I talked to Mr. Edmonds, and he told me about his very generous offer to you.
Offer? What offer?
Mrs. Fletcher, $50,000 is a great deal of money for a man of my means, but I can assure you my credentials are not for sale.
Now, hold on, Jessica. The professor here says that the Indian's a phony. Let's not argue with him. Whose side are you on, anyway?
At the risk of sounding corny, Sam, I'm on the side of right. And that includes not only this land grant, but also George Longbow's involvement, if any, in Addison Langley's death.
Oh, for pity's sake, Jessica. The man came here to bamboozle the town, and you're taking sides with him.
What she's trying to say, Sam, is that we ought to keep our dampers down until we know exactly what's going on.
which is exactly what I'm going to do. Come on, Professor. You and me are going to have a talk with Mr. Long.
Whose side are
We
you
haven't
on?
we haven't talked about Sam the Mayor a lot yet, but this is a great example of
He's
how
only appeared in like one or two
unreasonable.
episodes.
Yeah,
He's one of those actors who we think is in more episodes than he really
yeah,
is, partially because the episodes he's in are so big. Like
sure.
they're so important to the plot of
And
Murder, She
because he's
Wrote
a
or
person of
what.
authority in the town, right? So of course he has a say. But we've seen him essentially turn on Jessica on a dime when she
Oh yeah.
brings bad press to town. We see him pretty unconcerned with following due process here. Sam
No,
the Mayor is very frustrating.
he's sort of a douchey clown who
Yeah,
enjoys having authority,
yeah,
but doesn't really want to be pushed to do anything. Like
yeah. He's
he
not
really
dangerous. He's
doesn't
really
like
innocuous, right? He doesn't ever really have any impact on what's going on, but he is kind of a thorn in Jessica's shoe as far as it comes to doing things the right way.
dangerous is a curious choice of words because then his usefulness in the town's legacy and everyday actions. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's sort of innocuous in the murderers, certainly, but he's not an example of a good political figure. He
Not at
doesn't
all.
really progress the town or really
No,
have its interests.
no. He seems
He's not.
mostly like a figurehead, if anything.
Yeah,
Someone who
yeah.
enjoys being a figurehead, that is.
And some of the town seems to really like him, and some of the town seems to think he's a total idiot. But a lot of them will vote for him, as we'll find out in a future episode,
Yeah,
sort of keep the status quo.
right.
If somebody else is elected, then that runs the risk of things changing. But if
Yeah.
we keep this dunce in charge who thinks he's in charge, but really can be swayed, then we're better off.
Hmm.
Yeah. He's sort of like he's not smart enough to be corrupt. Like
No,
it's
exactly. Every all of his decisions are very impulsive and based in smoothing over something in the moment, or you know what I mean? Like he's not a deep thinker, Sam the Mayor.
no,
No.
no. He's sort of I imagine somebody who just was rich enough to go to the right schools, solid
Yeah.
C student, kept getting pushed ahead because of his connections. He's not even like a bootstraps kind of story.
No, not at all.
Like if it wasn't for nepotism, there wouldn't be anything at all. Like there had to have been like things in place to get
Yeah.
him there.
Yeah. Well, so there was a scene where Jessica and Amos went to the hotel that George was staying at, and they found shoes under his bed that were filled with sand. And of course, Amos is like,
Mm.
they're filled with sand. He did it. And Jessica's like, no, he was absolutely framed. Look at the soles of these shoes. There's no like sand treading on the bottom. There's sand
Mm.
in the shoe, but
Nothing's
there's
trapped.
nothing's trapped, right? And because of the gummy soles, you'd think that they would be full of sand or something, right? No,
It's a
no.
little bit like the mud on what's her name shoe boots
Hmm.
from the archaeology
Yeah,
episode.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
need to
Need that green
or
mud.
the yes uh or the pink shoes from Deadly Lady.
Deadly Lady.
Pink isn't my color.
So they go
Um
over to Helen's house, and Helen is there with Tom, who has a fondness for her. And we are at the end. We are at the end. Can you guess who did it? Can you guess?
douchebag number 4.
No. It was actually Helen. It was Helen.
How well, she didn't
I would
stab him with the spear. She
no,
killed him,
no.
and the spear was actually similar to powder keg, meant to hide the true cause of death,
Exactly.
which was, I guess, like a kitchen knife.
Obscure the wound. Yeah. It's a
What is
kitchen
that
knife.
wood thing? It's
It's a
that's a
like a
huge
butcher
handle.
knife. I mean, look at that thing. Yeah.
I mean, let me
This is a
see.
Michael Myers knife. She's gonna pin this guy to a door. Um, so what happened was he was drunk and he beat her all the
Yeah,
time. And oh God,
she she finally had enough.
it's heartbroken. And all she says at the end is, I just wanted him to stop beating me. I just didn't want to be beat anymore.
Yeah,
Heartbreaking.
yeah, yeah. He fell. He grabbed those chairs.
Yikes.
That's
It is
that
really
varnish.
unsettling to watch him struggle with that knife in his chest and like grasp for something to hold. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and it was Tom actually who then, because he was trying to protect Helen, took George's body, took the spear, plunged it and obscured the wound from Helen's kitchen knife,
Hmm.
and then he planted sand because when the other guys all collected George and paraded him around before taking him to the police, he went back to George's hotel
He
because he
wasn't
had
in the
his
truck,
keys.
right?
Exactly. He wasn't in the truck. He was driving George's truck. So he
Oh
had the
God.
means to go back to, oh God, this reenactment.
He has to stab him with the Algonquin spear
Lance, they
to
called
make
it a
it
lance. That's the word I was
Lance.
looking for earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, because his brotherly duty led him to protect Helen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry he's
Again,
dead.
but
I don't think
again,
killing's
he's
right, but I
not.
didn't want to get hit anymore.
Yes. And you know what? I said it on this pod before. I will say it again. Sometimes bad things happen to bad people.
Yeah.
And it's really not a matter of do you think murder should be the way to solve your problems? When other people make that decision for you, that's really not
Yeah.
the point.
Fuck around, find out.
Um, Now, as noble as it is potentially to protect one's sister, it's still all about the racism
Yeah,
for the brother because he uses that opportunity to blame George.
exactly. He
So he it
takes,
is a it's a two birds one stone situation for
yeah,
him.
yeah.
It still kind of undercuts the nobility in
Oh,
that
yeah. I mean, it totally,
action.
not kind of, it totally undercuts the nobility.
Fully, yeah, I know.
It's like you're going to protect an
I know.
abused woman, but then you're going to blame a brown person. Great. Great. What a great guy you are, Tom. And what do we
There's
think
this
about like what happens to
yeah.
Helen then?
Um she probably faces charges,
Yeah.
possibly argues self-defense,
Yeah.
and allows her brother to go to prison for life.
For tampering with evidence, moving a
For
body, for God's sakes.
yeah, and stabbing him. There's a lot of different possibility. I
Yeah.
believe you could probably get away with saying that he committed just short of murder.
Yeah.
You could argue it probably. Um yeah.
Yeah.
With her, I don't know. I mean, in 1987, ah, it could go a lot of different ways. If this were to happen today, they both would have gone to jail.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've seen we see the story like on Snapped every now and then or something like that,
Hmm.
where a not accidental death, but like a circumstantial death,
Crime of
like it's sort of like a
passion.
self-defense. Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
self-defense, but anything you decide after that moment,
Is not self-defense.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
So
deliberate attempt to evade.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you could
and for
argue
me,
manslaughter, you could argue self-defense, but it might end up being murder.
right. There's a little bit of Schadenfreude I get here because Tom, when they were in the police office, he was the one who sort of gleefully dropped off George's possessions and then carted the rest of the guys out saying, "We're heroes, we're local heroes." And so that
Yeah.
he's going to get a comeuppance for that
Oh, sure.
nasty
Yeah.
lie. It feels very satisfying to me. Even though he was helping Helen,
Well, he always
He's
says
sort
too
of
much. They always do too
they
much.
always say
Like if
too much.
they had just kept things on the down low, it would have been fine. It's the same thing with Trouble in Eden, where that guy says, "Doc did this." Like you don't have to offer that information.
No,
It
no,
just
just shut up. Just shut up.
they're just stupid killers. Uh, we have a weird button on
Yeah,
the
it is.
episode.
It's odd. Yeah.
It's deeply white people writing. It's very blindside. It's just so we learned that one of the things that George wanted to accomplish with that money, the primary thing he wanted to accomplish with that money, was this sort of scholarship for indigenous kids who wouldn't normally have, the opportunity to go to college or have higher
Yeah.
education. And Jessica says, "Oh, we've already formed a committee." First of all, when? How did you have time for this?
Didn't this happen
Didn't this
yesterday?
guy yesterday? Like exactly. And two, because she's being vaguely nice to him, and she's been nicer, but just vaguely supportive, he
Yeah.
asks, "Oh, let's just hear it. Because
Let's
let's
do.
just have the cringe. Let's just cringe."
Thank you so much.
Tell me, what are your plans?
Well, nothing concrete.
But we're working on it.
Oh, by the way, George, I've spoken to some of my friends, and your plan for a scholarship fund for worthy young American Indians has a lot of support in this town. In fact, we've already formed a committee to get it underway.
Mrs. Fletcher, are you sure you're not part Algonquin?
Well, with this complexion, I very much doubt it. But if I were, I'd be very proud of it.
Donna.
It's just
Ugh. Ugh. No, I'm too white.
I mean, even
That's
that,
what
yeah,
she
sure.
said. I get it.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm being a
But
little
like,
glib,
are
but
you sure you're not part Algonquin because you formed a committee? Like, it's just such a stupid.
it's a dumb line. It's a
And then
dumb piece of writing.
I think we're about to form a peace treaty because my professor father doesn't hate you. Like, it's so like,
And they have to use the words peace treaty, right? Like lay it on thick.
yeah. And we get a little extra like, end on a laugh moment because Jessica's like, "So
Mhm.
why weren't you upset about this whole taking of the land thing?" And Seth's like, "Oh, I rent." Dun, 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 dun. Like it's
Phew.
it's a living. It's just so
It's a
yeah,
living.
yeah. Um well, all right.
There you go.
So
All right,
all's well
let's
that
talk
ends
about
well.
it. Let's
All
talk
right.
about it. What do you think?
I mean, we kind of end the way we started. The only thing
Mhm.
that really I think we've learned something today. I don't know if we've learned anything today. I don't
Not
know
a
if
thing.
not a clue. So George Longbow's presence uh has not affected the legislation of the property. Cabot Cove is still ending the way it began. He's got a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Her father doesn't disapprove. One drunken racist is dead. Another self-righteous racist is in prison. The battered wife, who's to say? Uh, Racial tensions. No one had an epiphany. No
Just
one feels any better.
totally smoothed over by circumstance only.
Um, in fact, the only moment of white person affirmation is someone who was already on his side.
Yeah.
Um,
He doesn't have any more friends than when he came to town other than
no, he's leaving again. He's
Professor.
not even staying.
Well, and his his attempt was thwarted essentially. They said, "Well, you can't prove that you're the ancestor, so sorry."
Yes.
And then he's like, "Okay."
Well, that's the whole
Okay.
magic of diaspora, isn't it? The whole like
Yeah.
that's the whole thing about being unable to trace
How
your
do
roots.
you trace roots? How could he
A lot of
ever
folks
trace
don't.
roots, right? So he
Yeah.
may, in fact, be the 11th descendant of Chief. What is the chief's name? Oh, it starts with an M. Oh, you got
Oh,
me.
I don't recall. I'm
Um,
talking not
Minnetonka or
Minnetonka.
something. That's not
No,
totally
it's
right. I
very
can't.
similar, but
It's.
it's
I know.
not.
I'm gonna get it wrong and then make a fool of myself. Anyway, he could be. He could be the descendant, but and this is what I mean. Like, there's so much legality involved here that we don't even get into this episode. This would go through all sorts of circuits and courts because there's so much livelihood here at risk, right? An entire city. So I
Well,
think
town.
town, sure,
This is not exactly
not a city.
not exactly Philadelphia.
So we created this huge upset in this community for almost nothing.
Yeah. Manitou. It is Manitoka. Manitoka.
Manitoka,
Chief
Manitoka.
Manitoka.
Okay.
Who I don't even know if that's based on anybody. Like I actually don't I didn't ever even looked up to see if there was some veracity of actual agreement between
Hmm.
settlers and the native population. I don't know.
Right.
Um
So I did just do a search for Chief Manitoka, and the AI overview says you are likely thinking of Chief Manitoka, the central figure from the classic TV show Murder, She Wrote. So
there you go.
that
There you
it
go.
created for the show, it looks like.
Well, yeah. Also, Maine's indigenous inhabitants are collectively known as the Wabanaki. Forgive my mispronunciation, but I believe that is it. Wabanaki, also known as people of the Dawnland. Today, there
Hmm.
are four federally
How poetic.
recognized Wabanaki tribes in the state. Passamaquoddy,
Passamaquoddy.
Penab, uh, yeah, from
Pete's
Cannibal,
Dragon.
Peace Dragon, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Well, and of course that takes
Uh,
place in Maine. Yeah.
it does. I was about to say, I
Yeah.
almost called it Candle on the Water, but yes. Uh, Mikmaq, Mic- Mi'kmaq, maybe? Hulton Band of Maliseet and the Penobscot. They have occupied the region for thousands of years and maintain sovereign governments, cultural centers, and tribal lands across Maine.
Hmm.
This is via the National Park Service. So that's a government website, and we all know that government websites are sort of unreliable narrators at this moment,
What are
but
you talking
that's what I
about?
got. I know. The Wabanaki Confederacy historically and presently spans present-day Maine. Okay, this is actually from the Maine Indian Tribal website. The Maritimes of Canada and parts of New England. The four tribes in Maine are deeply connected to the state's rivers, coastlines, and forests, which have sustained them since time immemorial. They do mention in this, so Algonquin, not quite, but okay. Good attempt, Murder She Wrote. Um, that the land is meant to be the coastal region. And since Cabot Cove
Hmm.
is the coastal region, that's why he is laying claim to that
Ah,
area.
yes, yes.
There are many indigenously named, and those names have maintained in Maine. So one can still find that out via online information. But today, the Wabanaki tribes in Maine continue to advocate for their inherent sovereignty, hunting, fishing rights, and self-governance. For decades, the Wabanaki nations have been working through the Wabanaki Alliance to amend the 1980 Maine Indian Claims Settlement Act, which they state has restricted their sovereign rights compared to hundreds of other federally recognized tribes nationwide. So
Hmm.
there's still a doings
Yeah,
with how we as a country treat our uh, First Nations.
I'm shocked.
I know, not to blow your mind here,
Yeah.
but yeah. Um, so we as white people have complicated relationships with First Nations and American Indian learnings. Do you remember the first time you as a young white man or young white boy discovered the atrocities that our country provided on First Nations?
You know what's interesting about that is I know a lot of the media that we were sort of spoon-fed as children was
I
very
mean, we grew up during Dances
idealistic
with
and
Wolves.
right. And so
That was sort of
that's
like our
that's sort of the
quintessential.
impression I had. But I have to be honest, my understanding of the atrocities that manifest destiny and westernization has inflicted on the world has grown sort of gradually over time, not just when we're talking about indigenous populations, but any marginalized population, right? So in some ways, I'm not particularly surprised. And maybe my education where I grew up in Colorado. And so there was some attention in Colorado history about indigenous populations, or of course at the time we called them Indians,
Hmm.
but and then native whatnot. But I remember being a kid learning about some of the terrible things that were done to indigenous folks by white settlers, in particular, just disease, bringing disease to those communities and sort of wiping them out, which we actually talked about here when we talked about the 1918 flu, which is a little strange after like the COVID epidemic to talk about that flu and to think about COVID and whatnot. Like, oh, okay, it's been 100 years and we've gone through
Yeah.
something similar again. How the wheel always
Well,
turns, right?
we've always had pox. There's always been something.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
always been, and we have plagues. We have, uh, now we have lettuce that's coming after us.
Oh my gosh. It's a good thing I don't eat salad. Those empty calories. Uh, no, I suppose that's my reaction. I've never really been surprised. I don't know if I was just a particularly knowing child, but I always kind of was aware of the nastiness of the human race. Like
Mm,
from a very early age, people being
mhm,
terrible to other people never really surprised me. Made me sad.
mm.
Yeah. How about you? Do you have
Yeah.
any distinct recollection of being like, oh shit, that's what's going
Yes,
on?
actually, well, so I learned about it in sort of pieces. Again, I grew up with parents where immigration was a constant discussion because my mom is an attorney and an immigration attorney at that. So I sort of already grew up with a notion of that existing learning. And I learned first, I remember being in school in Connecticut. So I was born in New Haven and I went to school at John Lyman Elementary. And the town of John Lyman, I don't where John Lyman is, I don't quite recall off the top of my head. Um, and I remember as a field trip, we went to not a like a I guess sort of like a cultural history area. It wasn't a reserve. Like it wasn't like you know
Hmm.
what do they call that? What do you call it? Where you live? Reservation. Jesus Christ. It wasn't a reservation, I don't think. But I remember one of the real things that actually I think of almost every single time I think about American Native American culture is there were kids my age who would do the ooh sort of like
Ah,
Peter
yes.
Pan thing.
Sure.
And the guide said that is actually not what that is not actually accurate. That is a white person's imitation of indigenous people. And that has lived in my head ever
Mm.
since,
Hmm.
is the concept of the woo-woo sort of being that sort of follow the leader Peter Pan moment. And they're like, oh, okay. So that has always adjusted. And then my family and I went to the Carolinas where we learned a lot about the Trail of Tears, Andrew
Hmm.
Jackson's atrocities, as well as indigenous populations doing sort of theatrical retellings of that
Right.
era. And that was very eye-opening. And that's when I learned what the Trail of Tears was. And I remember being sort of fascinated with that because it just never occurred to me. Like, why would I know that as an 8-year-old until you're told
Yeah.
as an 8-year-old?
Yeah.
But it's really funny to every once in a while hear about like critical race theory or holding white people to the reality of colonialism and all of that. Because I'm like, but I learned that when I was like 7 and 8. So that
Yeah.
was a long time ago. I'm 42, guys. Like the idea of that being like a newfound wokeism is sort of fascinating to me. It's sort of like, no, but
Mm.
30 plus years ago, that's what we were learning about in elementary
Yeah.
school about the
Yeah.
things that we did. Um, and I know that largely when I moved to New Jersey, and I went to a predominantly Black school, a lot of the adjustments to racial inequality were largely focused on what we did to Black communities,
Yeah.
specifically African Americans, but also
Hmm.
uh, all kinds of folks but largely in the Black experience. So I learned a lot about Malcolm X. I learned a lot about slavery through media like Roots. We actually watched it in school. Like we actually did like so the perspectives. And then it wasn't until I was almost in high school, I think, that I learned about Japanese internment camps. So like there were
Oh
sort of
yeah.
like phases of racial inequality that I learned about over time. Um, So yeah, but so I guess technically one of the very first was actually uh, Indigenous people or
Yeah.
Native First Nations people, um, because I remember learning about the '60s civil rights movement and not understanding that that was so recent. That
So
that had only been
recent.
like 20 years earlier because I was
So
learning about that like
recent.
in like '86.
Yeah.
So, but I remember being like my mind being blown away that was that recent because I thought that was like hundreds of years ago because I didn't understand that we still experience racism until, um, and then so you sort of deconstruct this as you go, sort of as you
Yeah.
move on. Um, yeah. So so that was probably the most formative aspect of my awareness of First Nations people. And then traveling to a certain degree, being in burlesque. I've met a number of folks who use their indigenous culture effective to great effect in their burlesque or in their
Hmm.
drag or in
Yeah.
their representation. Its relationship both with colonialism and not just British colonialism, but Spanish colonialism and other elements as well. So, there's a lot. There's always going to be a lot, but once you dig, but and again, having grown up with something like Dancing with Wolves and mostly white savior constructs and
Hmm.
narratives, um, seeing something like this where Jessica is kind of white saviorish as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
better, but better
She
than that ever so slightly, like an elevated white.
there is. I mean, I think it's tricky because it does sort of appear as white savior a little bit, right? She's the only one who's willing to hear this brown person out, right? But that's not
And
necessarily
that's
because
or is
she's
that
not
allyship?
racist,
Or is
but
that allyship?
right.
Yeah.
It's hard to pin down what that actually means for Jessica Fletcher because she is someone who believes in what makes sense
Yeah.
and what
Inequality.
tracks and what we
Yeah.
can provide evidence for. And so she can see through the bullshit much of the time when others can't. And so that's just her.
Right. And it would be different if this was our only example of her. Like if this was a standalone film where that
Right.
was all we knew about her. We've
Right.
spent 3.25 seasons learning about this woman,
Hmm.
so it makes perfect sense that this would be part of her
Yeah.
because she is a busybody. She doesn't need to get
Yes.
involved in this. She's not a public official.
Nope.
There's no reason actually for her to be involved in this at all.
Yeah.
except that she has a sense of what justice and what is right.
Hmm.
And she's willing to hear what he has to say because she's the only one who says, like, well, if this grant is true or is accurate, then we have to contend with what that means.
And she's the one that asks many times, what do you plan on doing
Right.
if you can prove this?
And really taxation. That's really what it boils down to. The
Yeah,
only thing he wants is taxation.
that's right.
He's not looking to evict people. He's not looking to um, remove their citizenship or
Hmm.
where they live. He's not even
No,
going to change anything about the town. All he's looking for is taxation.
I guess, but like, why not come in with that plan, right?
Well, and he says because he doesn't think he would have been heard. And she's doubtful of
Yeah,
that.
I get it, but I also, uh, maybe I need to remove myself from this 1987 plot point. Maybe he's right.
Uh,
Maybe I live too much in the modern world, and I don't know what kind of walls or impediments he would face to exploring this claim. I don't know. I don't know. I still think his tactics were wild and such a misjudgment of how to enter this space. But,
but
maybe that's
that's also
that's also
why it's
why.
entertainment. That's also, I
Yeah.
mean, we do have to acknowledge
Yeah.
that too, is that this was not written by Indigenous people. It was not written by
No.
First Nations people. I don't even think First Nations people were necessarily even consulted. Um, and it still features a non First Nations person playing someone who is First Nations. It's not, a white guy, which,
Right.
is a step up, I suppose.
Well, so
But
I
that's sort of
did.
already it's already, you know, kneecapped a little bit by
Yeah.
virtue of it not coming in cleanly.
Yeah, that's true. So I want to ask you what you think of the use of the title Indian Giver here. And I think for me, it's a little messy. Let's take a phrase that actually the connotations of it are not great
No.
and
Yeah.
use it in this scenario where in fact that that plot line is really a scapegoat for the actual murder. I don't know. I feel like it's a little careless to choose the name Indian Giver for this episode because obviously the implications are that like I'm using quotes here. Indians
Mhm.
give and then they take back, right? Which is the
Mhm.
idea here about the land,
I
I
don't even know
suppose.
how common the expression is anymore, frankly.
It's not very common anymore, but when I was growing up, you better believe it was very
Yeah,
common.
it was a thing. It was a thing.
Yeah.
Well, also considering the age group of who this show was for,
Yeah.
Jessica's contemporaries would have used that. Rose says it in Golden Girls.
Yeah. Yes. Indian giver. I'm sorry. Ooh.
Yeah.
So I think
Twice
it's a
actually. She
little.
says it twice. She says it twice. She says it in that instance where they're throwing barbs at each other. And then
Mhm.
she also says that if you did something and take it back, she says, "Oh, you'd be an Indian giver." Um, that is a product of its time.
Right. It is. Yeah.
Um,
And it's funny because, and I don't really know where the phrase originated or what it was originally intended for. To me, if I sort
that
of
I
break
think.
it down, I think it implies that an indigenous population is much more accustomed to sharing resources rather than possessing something, right? And it being yours or mine. But in our sort of capitalistic way of looking things, we see only that's mine now. You can't have what's mine. I don't know. Am I
Well,
wrong?
no, you're absolutely correct. So,
Am I?
audience at
Yeah.
home, let's break into it. So,
Okay. Okay.
according to Wikipedia, which is sourced, but I'm not going to give you those sources right now. You can find it on your own. The phrase Indian giver refers to someone who gives a gift and then later demands it back or expects an item of equivalent value in return. Today, this is a term that is considered derogatory and deeply offensive to Indigenous people. So, folks, we're using it. for this purpose, we're not calling anyone that because
Right.
one does not call people that.
No.
The phrase traces its roots back to the early days of European colonization in North America and emerged from a fundamental misunderstanding
Aha.
between the cultural exchange practices of Native Americans and the European settlers. In Native American traditions, and again, we're using very broad terms here, in many indigenous cultures, gift giving was a reciproc reciprocal system of trade. A gift was given with the expectation that it would be reciprocated with something of equal value because you'd want to, not just because you would want to, creating
It's a
an
gesture of
ongoing bond.
goodwill and sharing and
It's
like,
bartering. It's
yeah,
the same thing that we
exactly,
do,
exactly.
but it's different when white people do it. Uh, trade of community, ongoing bond of trade and community. The Europeans misunderstood in their culture, a gift was expected to be entirely free with no strings attached. When indigenous, well, in theory, with no implicit strings attached, let's just
Right,
say.
right.
When indigenous people expected a reciprocal item or took an item back because a trade was not completed fairly, the Europeans viewed it as deceptive or rude. So let's just use everyone's favorite, where the First Nations people gave the Pilgrims maize. If the Pilgrims did not give them
Hmm.
something back, except apparently pox-covered blankets, that was viewed as deceptive. It was not meant to be um, a slight. It was not meant to be a slight.
Right.
The phrase is first recorded in print in 1765 by historian Thomas Hutchinson in the History of the Province of Massachusetts Bay, where he defined an Indian gift as a present for which an equivalent return is expected. By the 19th century, particularly in American children's slang, it evolved into an insult.
Mm.
Modern cultural consensus considers the phrase a disparaging slur that unfairly vilifies indigenous traditions. While some academic and revisionist interpretations point out that the Europeans routinely took back agreements and gifts, such as treaties and land, the
Uh-huh.
term remains a mischaracterization of native gift giving. In fact, yes, it's the white people that changed their minds, were deceptive, and do all of those things.
So what you're saying
So
here is that the white
yeah.
people are
Uh-huh.
projecting.
Uh,
Got it.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, no
Well,
takebacks.
there you have it.
And I guess like it's still on those lists of things of words that we use sort of uh blithely without considering the implications
Hmm.
sort of like that have historically uh gross or unfriendly connotations like cakewalk or peanut gallery. There's a few that are, and some would argue that like, well, they don't mean that anymore. True, but I think it's
Fair.
important to know why things exist. I think etymology is still important.
Hmm.
And once you know, then you can do what you want with that.
Yeah.
Um, there are some phrases, and I'm not necessarily thinking of any off the top of my head. I don't use peanut gallery, frankly, all that often because I can't not think of that now. Even if it's argued whether or not the veracity of that. Um, and there are some words that are very close to being like with the Romani slang term. And my favorite
Sure.
musical, one of my favorite musicals is Gypsy. So
Right.
technically I use that phrase with that
All
term
the
all the time.
time.
I would never call somebody that unless they
Right.
had requested me to. Uh, yeah. And even though like some folks that I really love, like Kesha can't stop saying it, Madonna says it, Gaga says it, like it's still a weird like white woman
Yes.
thing,
Yes.
but uh because you're fancy and you're can't you're quirky.
You can't
Uh,
possibly be contained. You're colorful
no.
and you dance a lot,
And you
right?
don't
Like
even literally mean
very
nomadic. You don't even mean wanderlust. You just mean
diminished.
anyway.
I'm a party girl.
Basically,
A little bit. A little
basically.
bit. Yeah. I do what I want.
I do what I want. And you know what?
Okay.
Folks are gonna.
I did want to talk about sort of the murder mystery of this episode too, which is actually
Sure.
quite simple, right?
Yeah.
It's quite simple. A body is found, and the clue that lets Jessica know what's going on is that Tom, nobody knew where George Longbow was, but Tom, because of
Right.
their collecting him on the road, did. He had his
Right.
access to his room key, his wallet, and all of his information. And he was the only one who had those items in his possession before they were turned over to the police. And so that
Because
was
they
it.
beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Because they beat the shit out of George
Because they beat
Longbow
the
and
shit
he
out of
had
him.
his
Yeah.
backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like this
Yeah.
episode where people are getting the shit beat out of them, particularly Helen and George.
No, it's only innocent people. It's
Only
only
innocent
innocent
people.
people.
Jeez.
And even our murder victim douchebag is killed really quickly. He's
Really
killed
quickly.
really quickly.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. It's the equivalent of like the blueberry stains. It's the equivalent
Yeah.
of other episodes where it has to be because of this one thing, the
Hmm.
lighter, the paint on the doorknob. Like there's that one thing that leads Jessica to that conclusion.
Right.
Um, and it's unsatisfying when that murder is uncovered because it's under sad circumstances. There's no
Yeah.
justice or even indignance in that because also you're not rooting for the guy who helped cover it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we
Um,
didn't even mention that one of the other clues was that the body had varnish on one of his hands. So, and of course,
yeah,
when Helen stabs her husband, who's
he
drunk, he
falls into the
falls and
chair.
into the chair that has fresh varnish on it. So that's another little clue
Which
that
again, the varnish was in
tips
his
off
house.
Jessica.
He would have had varnish in his house, like that sort of
Yeah,
like
it's
a
it's a loose clue. And I think the other element is that Helen is beat up, literally bruised and beaten. And so
yeah.
there are three easy enough clues to line up, oh, this is actually what happened. Even just the relationship between Tom and Helen, their being close, sort of gives us more information than we even need about
I
their being sort of
like it.
in it together, in on it together.
Right. And I like it being a brother sister thing. I think
Yeah.
that's an unexpected twist because so often it's the man who's in love with her, or it's
Yeah,
the
there's not like a
boyfriend.
sexual tension here or
No,
a
or that she was actually unfaithful to her douchebag
right.
husband.
No.
Um,
She just has a
there's none of that
guy
messiness. It's
who
just a
is
brother who decides to
platonic, who's
be,
looking out for
yeah,
her. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Um,
that's nice. That's a nice
that is
touch.
that's nice. Um, he
And
does it
then
in all
as
the wrong
far as
ways, but
right,
then
would love a
but a
few
lot of
more
everything else is sort
ladies
of
in this cast. Would love a few more ladies and a little fewer middle-aged white guys. They were hard to track at the beginning. Um,
yeah.
it's fine. Also, Cabot Cove has a huge
Mm.
posse of paparazzi, according to this episode, right? Like reporters waiting outside, like half a
I
dozen
have
to
a
a dozen
feeling
reporters like banging down doors.
once it hit the wire that this town had an implicit attack against the mayor, or at least an implied attack against the mayor, and that they were possibly being taken over, like I would have brought some press.
Sure. We got the Portland crew here. They're all
Yeah.
here. And then the only
Um,
other thing I wanted to say about this was that
hmm,
I thought the score, I mean, they obviously lean into things based on what sort of genre or plot line or premise they're creating here. So there was kind of indigenous inspired scoring in this episode that I actually thought was really nice. I thought it was really
okay.
well done and subtle, but also made it stand out for me. So I really like that.
I don't know its authenticity, so I'll pause
I mean,
on
it's
that
probably
one.
not. It's probably
Yeah,
not. But the I guess what I'm getting at, it didn't feel
it's evocative.
heavy-handed in
It's
the way
evocative.
that, frankly, even some of our native indigenous representation in via Raymond Two Crows was.
Right.
This felt a little bit more tempered and a little less, hey, yeah, 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 hey, you know what I mean? Oh, geez, okay.
Yeah, a little less war
I
chant.
appreciate.
There is a funny thing in the IMDb, and I'd have to listen to confirm it. So there is a standard, I would say. It's done by Glenn Miller, and it's been done by, your Joe Staffords and your pop singers of the Great American Songbook, called Indian Love Call. And the song that Emily is about to sing, evidently the implication is that it's going to be Indian Love Call.
Indian love
And
call.
I just think that's an amusing self-aware note for a Founders Day that didn't have any indigenous representation otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. What are we doing
Um,
here?
yeah, it's amusing. And it's interesting that we're watching this, in the midst of this sort of 250 years of America
Right.
sort of situation. We're watching this on the 16th of July. So July 4th is not far behind us. There was a lot of discussion about whether or not, and it's sort of like white people's Independence Day
Right.
at that anyway. A lot of discussion about Juneteenth still up in the air.
Yeah.
Uh, the show remains timely.
Surprisingly, right? Surprisingly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
disappointingly at times.
Disappointing. Oh, yeah. That too. All right. Anything else to
But
add?
I mean, it's an entertaining episode. It is compelling, even if you watch it sort of through gritted teeth at times.
Yeah.
Um, there are problems with the storytelling every now and then.
Hmm.
Not the least of which is these broad motivations that are just there to be there. We don't really get a lot of insight into George.
No.
Um,
For a
he's
complex
a little,
character, there's a lot of gaps, right? There's a lot of places where
yeah.
we could fill in more information to legitimize his presence here in any way, right? But no,
We don't know almost anything about him, frankly.
no. He's a very
We know,
elusive, secretive person, all things
right?
considered. Despite the drama and the pomp and circumstance of his entrance, his flamboyant hello to Cabot Cove.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Flair for the dramatic.
Hmm.
Um, and yet, an interesting character nonetheless.
Yeah.
And again, I do appreciate the fact that even though we're getting yet another, racism through the white man's lens episode, that this one happens to take place in New England, because again,
Yeah.
that's still something that we pretend is exclusive to the South.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable to see men in flannel and blue jeans using racial epithets. It is differently uncomfortable to see men in three-piece suits doing the same exact thing.
Uh, Especially when they're standing right next to each other.
It feels rough. Um,
Not the
Not an
most
episode I return
pleasant.
to.
No. No.
If
This
if I'm
is
if I'm starting a watch, I won't necessarily go from Trouble in Eden to this one. I might skip it. I might.
Yeah. This is if it's on and playing,
Partially,
I'll watch it, but I don't ever look at the listings and say, that's the one.
that's the one. Well, partially because this is sort of in the middle of some fun. It's in the middle of
Yeah,
Trouble in
it
Eden,
really
which is a
is.
lot of fun. And then Doom with a View is our next episode where we go back to New York. And
Hmm.
it's got a juicy performance from Charlotte Rae. It's got a
Yeah.
compelling performance from Janet Leigh. It's got Grady being a total moron.
As usual.
Um, and it's got, it's just a little bit more sophisticated in its
Hmm.
storytelling. Um, it's a lot more fun. And
Yeah.
then you get to the Barbitals episode where we return to Cabot
Right.
Cove real soon after
Yeah,
this.
it's usually on
Um,
we usually have a little bit more away between Cabot
yeah.
Cove episodes, so
Uh, so it's a bit of a downer
hmm
between Eden and Doom with a View. It's a
hmm
bit of a downer because then you can go right from Doom with a View to Barbitals. Like you can go right
Right.
in. So if you're looking for a marathon, skip right over it and have more fun. Does that mean it's less important? No. I think there's still points in this
Yeah,
episode that are relevant.
sure.
And even
Uh,
bad depictions create
yeah.
conversation.
I feel like other episodes have done it better, though.
So sure, we talked about Powder Keg.
Powder Keg, I mean, that's
Uh,
the one that stands out first and foremost. I think Powder Keg is a more engaging, intense story. And similarly in Powder Keg, it's like it's sort of placed in this racial tension environment or atmosphere, right? But none of that is resolved by the end of the
I think
episode there, nor is it here, right? It's just like the circumstance of the murder moves on, and all of these people are still as racist as ever, or just as dangerous as ever.
I think our relationship with black racism or racism towards black people is a little bit easier for some white people to swallow than indigenous racism because it it takes a lot of balls to advocate for slavery, and it takes a lot of balls to advocate for or to downplay a lot of the injustice that occurred. It's also a little bit more it's actually like more documented, frankly.
Yeah,
Um, when it comes to colonialism, I think the guilt is more complicated because we showed up. We didn't bring people here and then mistreat them. We showed up and displaced them.
right.
And then how do you contend with, but what we deserve to be here too? And I think we're experiencing a lot of that argument and discussion, with Israel and Palestine.
We're seeing the
And
same thing. Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. I mean, it's this is a thing. Um, so I think it's complicated, but I think it's differently complicated. And I think it's a little bit harder to discuss that because I think it's oddly easier to admit fault when it comes to mistreating Black people in the
Yeah,
past.
I think it's a little bit more clear cut. Like the delineations are easier to identify. And it's a
And
little
media has helped
bit
inform us.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I mean, and for that matter, in this episode, if you had a house and you were at a town meeting or whatever, and someone came into town and said, "By the way, I own your land. You're going to pay me $200 a year from now on out." That creates complicated feelings. Like it's very easy to hold ourselves to a high standard and say, "Oh, yes, I understand that. Reparations, great."
Yeah.
I don't think most people would react that way. Even folks with a progressive mindset, I don't think they would see it as clear cut as George seems to think that the solution is here. And so it creates
Well, he's
complicated
swinging big.
feelings.
He's swinging big.
Oh, he sure is.
So I mean, and he could have swung bigger, frankly, but he's swinging pretty big. I think, yeah, it is. I mean, my taxes already go to shit that I don't like, so
Yeah.
I already feel sort of. It's one of the reasons that I'm such an indignant American when it comes to, when I criticize and the idea of the concept of like, well, then leave, like, well, then pay me to leave, like,
Yeah,
set
right.
me up, set me up. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Um, or why should I pay this for schools to do this, or why should I do this? And they have like, I don't know. Why am I paying for ICE agents? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't
Yeah.
get to choose that. Like, my alternative to not paying for wars that I don't believe in is
Yeah.
going to jail. Like, we are actually all at gunpoint paying for shit that that will happen with or without us. Like,
Yes. Yes.
um, so the idea of reparations being via taxation, mind you, again,
Hmm.
there is an argument for where that money comes from, because
Right.
reparations does not inherently mean that um, the general populace is responsible. It doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean that. There's a lot of
Right.
discussion in terms of where that comes from. Will it? Probably.
Yeah.
In even indirectly, because then the government will then raise taxes or do this, or you know
Hmm.
readjust funding that will somehow affect from something else. So that money still comes from us as the
Yeah.
people. That's
Yeah.
capitalism. um what would make it communism or socialism was if it's our idea. I but I would like to think that if I was told, okay, our taxes are going up because we're doing this project, I would like to think that I would adjust in my head, okay, well, at least that's something I believe in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I believe in mutual aid, I believe in foreign aid, I believe uh in that kind of thing. I don't believe in oh, I forget what it's called, but like where you go to other countries and teach them about God and stuff.
Oh, like missionary work.
Missionary stuff. I don't believe in that.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't believe in
either.
that.
I think it's
Um,
I maybe controversial to say,
Going in
but
there
it
and help
just
building
feels like
houses? Sure, sure. But the strings of Christianity
but
that are
if to
associated
get
with
the
that, I don't
keys,
love
if to
it.
get the keys to that house, you have to go into a church and sit through a service,
And get
which
baptized?
is
Yeah,
those are the implications, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
really nasty.
yeah.
It's indoctrination at like the highest level, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I I don't know.
I mean that's just straight up Magellan too. Then you know what? Then you do get a
Yeah.
spear to the chest. You do get a
I
spear to
feel
the
like
chest.
I'm on the verge of getting on a soapbox that I'm going to avoid because I have a lot of thoughts about what missionary work is and always has been. But we digress.
It is a bit of a digression. But I mean, yeah. And that's the thing too, is I don't know if this episode does. I mean, clearly it's creating conversation with us because that's our job.
Yeah.
Um, did it make, a bunch of white people in 1987 turn off their TV and say, "See, I sided with the red man in that regard"? I don't know. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I've seen footage or something where like, I remember a friend from the past saying that her father was like adjusted his racism after he saw something like Roots. I'm like, I don't want to cringe at that because I kind of want that to be like, well, at least he like, but I kind of cringe
Well,
at
I guess it's good. I guess it's good.
the outcome. I guess is that I don't know. I don't know. I
But
don't know. But I don't know
but
if this
that's
episode
to
is
say,
frankly
yeah,
ambitious enough to make us consider the
it's
plight of
not.
the American Indian.
It's
Like, I
not,
really
and
don't.
that's the problem. There's too much incongruity in it. There's too much there are too many odd writing choices, which
Yeah.
kind of chips away at what the episode could be doing. And I think
Hmm.
maybe, at least for me, that's where this episode fails the most, is that
Hmm.
we have a premise that could give us some really thoughtful dialogue about what this is and the complex nature of how these people may feel,
Hmm.
but via batshit actions by our characters, and it just
Hmm.
doesn't land for me the way it could. So that's why I'm
And you're right.
thinking of episodes like Powder Keg that is, I think, a superior episode of TV, even
Yeah.
though it's hard to watch. This is hard to watch and much less satisfying.
It's and you're right. The title being the first thing that you see, it
Yeah.
does plant a specific seed. I have a feeling if this was done today, they wouldn't be called that. I imagine it would probably be called something like Land Acknowledgement, because I think it would still be a pun
Hmm.
of a name, and it would still be, a reference to, sort of a white adjustment to things because also the hollowness of what a land acknowledgement often is regarded as.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, I think that it's a product of its time, and that time does not necessarily need to be celebrated.
Here, here.
uh, but we got through it.
Yeah, we did.
Um,
We got
yeah,
plenty to say, as usual.
as usual. Well, folks, thanks for listening to us talk about it. If you have any thoughts about this or any other episode that we've covered, please comment, follow, do the things. Let us know. We got a lot of folks who were very happy that we got to Thursday. It must be Beverly.
Yeah.
A lot of folks were very excited that we got to that one. I have a feeling there are also people who are waiting for us to get to Barbitals, which is coming, folks. It's coming.
I mean, who doesn't love a
Uh,
barbitol?
you know,
Come on, Judy.
that's a good one. Um, and but next is we head to New York with Grady, and we mix some martinis, which we'll get to. Ah, cool. Shall we call it?
Let's call it.
All right. I'm Victor Devon,
I'm Petra Fried, and
and this
this
was
was
tonight
Tonight on
on
Murder,
Murder
She
She
Wrote.
Wrote.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's that.
Um, um, um.